among the first prize. I checked my ticket and confirmed I had won, but I thought I'd won 55,000 on each. When I called the lottery and they confirmed both tickets were 110,000.
Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. In this program, you can pick up your telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything. Politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, any issue trending in the country. But most important of all, you can introduce your own topic. Interrupt us at any time and change the subject matter. We take calls. We don't like much rules, but we encourage people to be respectful and be tolerant to other people's view. And you could disagree with me if you want. You just call 442-0175 and punch. I'll try to read some of your comments on Facebook and YouTube. This is a pretty interesting. In Grenada, you hardly have a dull moment, you know. There are always issues you could talk about. We tend to stick on some of those issues because we believe we can change things. If we discuss issues, if we are open-minded, if we give each other a chance, if we listen, we can address the challenges that we are faced with. We have a lot of challenge in our country, but it's not insurmountable. We could address them. You don't have to be a grammatist. You don't have to swallow the grammar book. You don't have to be an intellectual to participate in the conversation on this program. Once we could cipher out what you want to say, you're welcome. We cannot interpret sign language yet. We don't have the technology yet to do that on this program. But if we could, we'd have definitely do it. So give us a call. Today, one of the issues that always a concern of mine, and I think is one of the biggest challenge any government have in the Caribbean, the question of productivity in our schools. Our education system has not kept pace with the generations of our population. We chastise them in a lot of instances. Decisions are not necessary to blame. Our educators, our intellectuals, our professionals, they are unproductive. Somehow or the other, we get the view that when an individual have a lot of qualification or tertiary education, it is natural for him to be productive. Nothing is further from the truth. Some of the most lazy people I come across, they have a briefcase of certificate. Some of the most unproductive people in our country is well qualified, even abscond the community. And how are we going to bring change that we are asking for? We are dealing with a world that is very dynamic. Gone are the days when you needed strong people without skills to work. Nowadays, you need thinking people. You need people with skills. In yesteryear, you need some strong policemen. You give them some baton and some stick. When they go for you, they half kill you before they come. They beat you into submission. Now we need smart cops. The criminals in the world today are much more sophisticated. And you need thinking cops. We work more and more with machinery and technology. And we need people who are more skilled. So when you send your child to school, you must make certain that your child have a basic education. A lot of time it has nothing to do with genetics. Maybe about 1% of people in the world where their genes make a difference in education. It's environmental factors. If your child grow in a home, and in that home you have a lot of people who are professionals, they are university graduates, etc., etc., your child could do well in school, just like that. If you grow up in an environment where the home is marginalized, both in its socioeconomic strata, single parent, a lot of challenges, sometimes they call the child in the school. If your child is small in stature, speech parents, Jumbie take him in school. The big children wrapping him up. And sometimes he fights back. Sometimes he ends up in jail. The only reason the child ended up in jail because the child was small in school and he had to fight his way to get acceptance. So parents must be cognizant of that and address the situation. Yes, caller, you're welcome.
Good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
I'm just trying to find out if that is true, that the removal of the 150 from the seed program.
Yes, I heard the government removed the 150 from the seed program.
So what happened to we poor people now?
Well, people have to come to terms with the reality.
Okay,
Yes. I think the quicker people come to the terms with the reality that the National Democratic Congress is not very sensitive to the needs of people in the lower income group. Why that is so, I don't know. So they make NDC. Since NDC born, they tend to be more attached to intellectuals, to people in the high end of the scale in the society. They need the numbers, but you is not the main interest. So I'm not surprised the NDC removed the 150. And you go hear all kind of arguments that the previous government put the 150 temporarily and it wasn't meant to stay. You go hear all this hogwash. You remember the NDC in 2008 removed $10 from the road workers. They $10. They removed it from the road workers. That is how the NDC make up. That is a philosophy. It's difficult to change the core aspect of the political party. It's the NDC DNA. Every time they come in power, the first group of people is people. I always reward people in the high end of the scale. I don't know why. Maybe our sociologists and psychologists should cipher out why we created a party like that. The NDC always do that. In 2008, they removed $10 from the pay of the road workers. They say the government put it before election, so they take it out. You want to hear them say the same thing? This 150 was not part of the seed program. The government put it because they thought because of COVID-19 it was necessary. You're going to hear all kind of rational justification and technicalities for the NDC depriving the people in the lower income group. Ma'am, so they make NDC. And you have to understand that. The quicker Grenadians understand that, the less they will be surprised at the NDC activities. In 2008, NDC removed the older people from the seed program. And I know sometimes people like to say, I want to tie the truth on some people, you know. Mr. X said, the young man showed the truth on him. Mr. Nyko said, tie it back. Don't let him walk away without the truth. Tie it back. So these people were the older people in the community, like philosophers. Some of them never had a good education. They correcting your grammar, they correcting all sort of things. So Mr. X said they tie the truth on the young man. He said, why the young man don't want to accept the truth? They tie the truth on him and shake it out. Mr. Nyko throw him rum in his mouth. He said, tie it back. Can't let him walk away from the truth. So you're going to hear the National Democratic Congress giving all kind of excuses why the 150 on that program was meant not to stay. All kind of excuses they're going to give. The fact remains they are the bell of the cat. They deprive the people in the lowest income group $150, but they removed the tax. They gave tax concession to the people in the higher income group. And that is this is as not getting up in the morning and going in the shower for the National Democratic Congress. They will always behave like that. You know, it is unfortunate, it is sad, it is practically deceitful, but that is the party you're dealing with. Every now and then they come up with a trick and they lure Grenadians to make the mistake of putting them in power. Yes, caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, my brother, welcome.
Well, I don't know what's wrong with the NDC government. Because I will tell you why. There is some people that are working with them for going on and do the census program. These people is coming that they don't get money yet. Then there is some people that are working, doing overhanging and such. These people don't get money yet. I want to know what's going on with NDC. What is the problem? Right, sir.
Well, brother, my brother, is almost the same response I gave to the previous caller. It all depends on where your interest is. When you select politicians, if the politician just use you for numbers' sake, their main interest is not about you. I said this government, this budget that was presented by the National Democratic Congress in December is a good budget for some people and is a disaster budget for the people in the lower income group. The National Democratic Congress put 20% tax on sugar and they dropped the tax on condom. That is in an environment where you have cost of living is increasing at astronomical levels because the war in Ukraine and the fallout of COVID-19. No government that is genuine concern about the people would increase taxes at this time. They put tax on sugar. And who will be affected by tax? People with the least money. There are some people, if sugar comes $10 a pound, it doesn't matter to them. Because some people drink alcohol that is $450 a bottle. They drink wine that they buy in Grenada here for $500 for a bottle. And some people drink confusion rum. Those who are drinking confusion rum, if they have money, they go in and buy a bottle of wine for $500. So the government put tax on sugar so it would affect the marginalized. They wouldn't stop drinking sugar. They may buy less milk. They might buy less toothpaste. But they will not buy less sugar. It's like salt. If you raise the price of salt, people are going to still buy salt. But the government have to, their main objective is not the Grenadians in the lower income group. Look at the dismissive language they always use referring to that people. They say the previous government been giving them handout. They're lazy. And if you continue giving them handout, they won't work. Look at the negatives they placed on the Imani program. Look at the attitude when the government decided to build 10,000 toilets for people who used to go and do the thing in pit latrine. Some of them are older ones. They have to use pail. They can't come to the house. Go and this utilities in the house. National Democratic Congress believe that program is a handout. But they have no qualms about dropping the tax on people who are in better position. So that is the NDC. People have to understand, when you're supporting a political party, you must know what the party stands for, the philosophy of the party. The people that lost their work early in Karakou, the Minister Labour said they lost their work because of politics. Words to the effect. But you had a number of senior public officers with bright yellow jerseys. The NDC would not interfere with them. But they go after the poor and the marginalized every time. And the quicker you understand that, so people asking why NDC do that. That is NDC. In 2008, they fired the people on the estates. Not 2008. During the period of the homegrown structural adjustment program that they like to hail as the best program, they fired the people on the estates. Some of them didn't even get no NIS payment. Is the poor the poor? So the union then was not strong. The union couldn't even pay to be the membership in TUC. So these people walk away quietly. With them, as people would say, with their mouth dry. The National Democratic Congress fired them. During that period, they fired Shorty. Because I want to tie the truth. So I want to allude to him. Because he was a Calypsonian, a popular individual on the entertainment stage. He used to cry. This is the National Democratic Congress. The National Democratic Congress they just give some people letters. Their contract ends on the 13th, but NDC give them the letter on the 15th. 2 days after the contract ends, they get letter. Because they say your contract ends on the 13th of January, but the people got the letter on the 15th of January. That is the NDC. I'm not surprised. Slightly disappointed, but not surprised. So that is the party that has not changed. In fact, the party gets worse. They get more radical. Even their own members, they had the worst thing to say about their own elderly members. So I don't know. That is why. That is the manner in which I could answer you, sir. And the challenge for us is, if you don't have the proper basic education, your children are likely to end up in the same fate anytime you have an ex-NDC government. So that is why it's so important that you make certain that when your child go to school, your child have a good education. You cannot leave it up to the educators. Can't leave it up to them. And there are some simple, practical things a parent could do to help their child to have confidence in themselves. I believe the biggest challenge children have in school is lack of confidence in themselves. So what could we do to encourage parents to help your children to have confidence? Simple. Remember, when we speak about that, there are some people in Grenada that have it well locked down. The children don't have no problem in school. About 15% of the population, the children are going to do well in school. When they leave school, they're going to do well. They're going to get scholarship. They will be able to go and train. They will get the best jobs in the country, and they'll do well. About 15%. But 70% of the children live in school going to be in trouble. They don't have the talents. They don't have the skills. They don't have the right attitude to get a job. And then people going to be calling them handmouth, and all sorts of derogative and negative names. And they will be in trouble. And they could be fired at the whim and fancy anytime you meet a government like NDC. So what do we do? Because we must solve problem, you know. We mustn't walk around with problem. We must solve it. So I believe the principal people to address that are women. Why do I say women? 60% of the household are led by women. They often are not are the main income group. These are the people affected the most by NDC. NDC find a lot of women. The women in the Carriacou, the women from Paul's, the women in the road wardens, the women in the caregiving program, endless of them going home and in other areas. So you have to be concerned if you fall in that category. What do you do? Many of you are single income girl, but you have children. So that means you have man. You have tourist relationship. And remember, we will not be talking about boyfriend and girlfriend here. Some people too big for boyfriend and girlfriend. See a woman the last time she in as there is no well is illegally, it is more acceptable to say my spouse than my boyfriend. You're too big for boyfriend. So what do you do? Because you, between the age of 0 and 12 years, yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, caller, welcome.
How are you looking at this thing and then when they take out the brain in a man's mouth? How are you watching that?
You're a little bit low.
How are you watching that when a man taking out a man bread in the mouth? This is not things for people to do in. I mean, if we sit down and listen and analyze and check in what's going on, this thing getting bad to us, you know. You don't realize this thing getting bad to us.
It's going to get worse.
When you get it, not you get, it will get worse. It's worse already.
Yes, it's going to deteriorate further still.
If you have a little dollar, this is the people and them and lay the foundation for Grenada Falcons, you know.
Yeah.
And if you're giving them a little incentive, it's not no big set of thing you're giving them because if you live here and you go in America and you're getting things, there's enough money for you to get, but it's a start and it's thank God for the start. But you cannot taking out it in your mouth and telling you you're caught in it. That is not the right things to do. What is it we doing? Your child going to school, you get a little help for your child to go to school. They move in it. So how you saying about the education? If they take out the dollar where your child has to go to school, the child can go to school again, you know? You have to do them that. I just sit down and ask we Grenadians if we do thinking or we do, if we do walking with we head on with foot. I just don't understand what's going on, you know. You little dollar, but you don't have to help your children taking it away. This is like, they're talking about taxpayer. It's tax money are paying us, but they can't telling me this. This thing is very difficult, and we're just taking it simple. Mr. Pierre, you have to say more stronger words for these people and them to break wood in the head, you know, because I don't understand what's really going on. If you sitting here and you're waiting on the little change mountain, you make what to do, medication to buy, you pay your light bill, you buy 2 pounds of sugar, a pound of flour. How much you could buy now? Tell me how much you could buy. This thing I'm telling you, we have to get up. We have to get up. We cannot sit down and say it's getting worse. We have to get up. You hear a man say Monday night, how long we going to sit down in this thing? How long again we going to sit down in this thing? We cannot sit down in it. We have to.
Sometimes one of the challenges we have, we don't study political parties. And when somebody is your representative, you must know them. You must know if this person had a history, agitating, articulating, involved in any group or organization, so you know these people. What we did in Grenada was take a group of people that has never ever been involved in politics, it was about juking thing. So we don't know them, but we give them a chance. And based upon the forces of democracy, that is what you end up with. They say sometimes people dissolve the government they have. We have a number of people in Grenada. They does not even stand up for their own family members once they have an education. You don't have to believe me, you just have to look in the society. In some villages, you have medical doctors, you have lawyers, you have senior public officers. If you have an activity, none of them not coming. They don't want to identify with the community. Go in Paul Salaka, or Telescope Salaka, or La Poche or River Sally. Yes, caller, welcome.
Oh, God, brother.
You good, my lady?
I don't good at all.
Yeah, what happened? You didn't?
I don't good. They take out 150 in my money.
What's that?
And it's a good thing I'm going in a home.
Yeah, well, that is going to happen.
What about who don't go in a home, who have all the money to pay? That government, they for long again, you know.
But, ma'am,
Senior citizen won't.
But you know that is what the NDC did in 2008.
Well, I know for that, but
So
I don't
that
want nobody send them to help
Yeah,
me.
but that should not...
That was let. When
Yes.
let the day.
But that
let
shouldn't...
help me out, but wait, let it again.
But listen, that shouldn't surprise you.
No, that doesn't surprise me.
That is
It
the
surprise
National
me
Democratic
at all.
Congress. All through the years, the National Democratic Congress have people within the army that cussing old people.
You understand?
They're cussing the church.
I see.
And these people are applauded among them. Yeah.
They're rejoicing now.
They're glad, they're happy.
But they're right.
Yeah.
They don't have in 2 years.
No, well, they could make all the time. You see, the time they make is not the issue. Is to what extent we damage this country and how difficult it is for another government to take it and fix it back.
Oh,
you see, as long as that's why I don't believe in history in school, you know. That's a waste of time. I believe that people must tell their children their history.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, my dear brother, keep up your good program. I'll go tomorrow with this my last I will be taking me out. Bye-bye.
You see, we have to tell our children our stories. We go and read a version. When Monkey writes his story, Monkey always write. So you sit down in school reading other people's story full of lies. But you don't want to hear the stories of the village, of your parents, and etc. The National Democratic Congress, if you were listening to these stories, you don't know the Congress. The Congress just slightly disappoint you, but you shouldn't be surprised at their behavior. It is in their DNA to do that. Every time they come in power, in 2008, the first thing they did was to go after the old people in the seed program, go after the e-money, and reward taxpayers with a tax concession. Then for 10 years, they attacked NNP. They attacked the e-money program. And now when you ask what to do, they say they're going to reimagine. I mean, come on. Before 2008, they attacked the program. When they asked them what you're going to do, they said they're going to revamp, reimagine. You have to Google and find out what these words mean. Revamp, reimagine. Next time they might say they might re-engineer. The party doesn't seem to have any way of expanding the economy. And it is unfortunate we went to a structural adjustment program under Dr. Kit Mitchell and the NNP in 2013. Why? Because after the NDC left the government, the economy was full. Over $80 million in bills that they were not able to pay. They were selling property to meet current expenditure, including salary. They sold 13 pieces of property. They sold property that did not belong to them. And they sold property that they were not legally entitled to sell. Maybe that is the first government in the whole Caribbean that sold property that did not belong to them. One of the John Galt said the NDC on coke. He said only on coke they do that. Man said the wife still in there. He said the thief, he go and call the police. He jumping up with the cutlass. Then he sell the stove. The only time the wife know he on coke is when he sell the house. Well, the house don't belong to him. The house not the wife's house. She brought up build the house on the fatherland for her. And at first they don't like him, but they like the sister. So they rent the house for her for $1 a year. He sell it. The National Democratic Congress sell property that did not belong to them. So this is the Congress. The Prime Minister say you go buy 2 planes. Now you go rent 2 planes, now you go buy 2 planes or what? The other Prime Ministers in the Caribbean shock. They say, well, wait now, what's wrong with this one? Now you say you will buy 2 planes again, it don't make no sense. Because you have to get permission to fly from place to place. And the Grenada is just 110,000 people. We have a small, as if the Prime Minister just dropped from Mars. I have a appeal before the Prime Minister, because more and more the Prime Minister don't look at your sense. He have plenty certificate and a lot of drama, but he don't look at your much sense. And this is the challenge we have. But we have to address it. And one of the ways to address, yes, scholar, welcome. Yes, scholar, welcome. What happened to you there is you have your radio on. Mr. So Pierre, you listen to the broadcast.
Mr. Pierre.
Yes, brother, go ahead.
You lied on the man.
What I did?
You lied on the man. You lied on himself.
What did I say that was wrong?
You said the man say you buy the plane. You lie.
What did he say?
He said if the Caribbean people get their act together by Christmas, you'll be looking to get a plane.
You go look to get a plane. You go thief a plane, buy a plane, rent a plane, borrow a plane. How you gonna get the plane? Call. How are you gonna get the plane? You go thief the plane, buy a plane, rent a plane, borrow a plane, ask me and Motley to give you a plane. Come on, caller. Caller, I'll have to tie the truth on you, you know. Remember, Mr. Exeter said the man shoot. Mr. Nyko said tie the truth on him. And I come from an environment where I like these two old men and them in the society. All here with them. When they drink the rum, they're stuck and we used to listen. There was philosophers in the community. He said we must deal with the truth. They said the young man shake out the truth on him. Mr. Nyko said tie back the truth on him. The Prime Minister said if by December that they can't settle this, he go buy two plane. I go rent to plane, I go lend to plane, I go borrow to plane. You say you go get to plane. We have to accept the truth, caller. Caller, please call me back if you felt caller. So when you go and you give the police information, they're watching you and they're asking you one among the questions. They don't believe you. Yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, sir, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
Maybe the gentleman who called a while ago, maybe he might be thinking about them to open up in Paul. So maybe they might have the intention of going and get them and repair them. Because you're speaking the truth and he's saying that you're telling lies. Or maybe they might have some scraps in perseverance that they might go and put together and make a plane and they're going to fly it. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, caller. And anytime you talk about the plane in pause, you must remember the Angola option. The two planes that came in pause, they came with the Angola option in mind. And you could ask any PRA, what is the Angola option? That is one of the issues we had here. Those individuals who were against Bishop, they feared the Angola option. So when the two Cuban planes reached, those hardliners was aware, they knew that the purpose, the objective, and the mission of the soldiers on these planes was the Angola option. Yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, yes. I'd like you to tell the caller who talks about, he can even talk about a ferry boat. I don't know if you remember that.
Well, Dickens saying plenty things. You can't bother with most of the things you say. Because now Dickens, it is unfortunate, a man of his caliber is just distorting the truth.
People is sick people.
Well, they don't sick, they're trying a little bit embarrassed.
Exactly.
I don't think they're sick, but they're a little bit embarrassed.
Come again.
Yeah.
For a Prime Minister, he needs to go and come again. He can't put his foot in Dr. Keith Mitchell's shoe.
They were in different size. somebody who wouldn't be I ashamed too.
Exactly.
I expect Dickie to do better.
We all in it.
I was a little disappointed, but I really thought he would have done better.
Exactly.
I never expected him to appoint to make these workers permanent. I know he cannot do that.
He can't do it.
But I never expect him to fire them. I never expect the Ministry of Mischief.
It's a very hard word for Grenada.
Yeah, of course. It's difficult. And the quicker we face the truth, it's easier for us to remedy the situation. Now, if the National Democratic Congress function for the next period, 4 or 5 years, with this level of political mischief, that could become entrenched in Grenada. And NNP politicians might be seriously pressured by their members to do the same. The National Democratic Congress had economy. Obviously, they want to get rid of marketing board. 3 workers they have in Grand Bay Estate. 3 workers. The rest, they have them out. The same estate they target to grow weed. The NDC backtrack on that. And they're setting up these estates so they could justify selling them. Now, how do you fire somebody who is working 5, 6 years and women? And this technicality that the NDC want to use now about people on contract, remember, you promised to make them permanent. These people on contract 5, 6, 7, 8 years, because government used the policy of contract to avoid putting more problem on the pension scheme. It wasn't designed to fire people. Government, when you get a work with government, was the safest work to get in Grenada. So under the public service and the pension scheme, it was a manner in which let us have these people until we sort out the issue of the pension scheme. Now the Minister of Labor is saying this thing could cause irreparable damage to the economy, and tell your children to look up the meaning of irreparable. I had to go on Google too. I didn't know the word. I had to go and look for it too. We must not afraid to do research, you know. And that is what you have children in school for. And they have their phone. So when they come, ask them to look up the meaning of irreparable. What it means. So the policy government developed, let us have a contract. They pay NIS. When they retire, they will NIS benefit. But as long as we don't settle this pension issue, we cannot put them in the public service. That is the reason it wasn't there to fire them. The National Democratic Congress come up and say it was illegal. It was lawless. They could do it with the stroke of a pen. When they said the stroke of a pen, they meant that you just have to go to cabinet and take a decision. Yes, caller, welcome. Punch.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yes, my brother.
The reason why the NDC doing that, they know they don't along there. You know? That's why they doing anything.
But the economic damage is going to bring this country back.
They're like mad people. Mad, that's why they're getting on so. You understand? Mad house they want to make them. Them politics and what they know. They're checking when they want to get the big money and make ratchet fee. Thank you.
Well, the government come and they met a treasury. You see, the NDC got this thing on a silver platter. They had a Ministry of Finance that is well motivated, highly performing, and a treasury that was pregnant. The government was so satisfied with the prognosis, so satisfied with the treasury, so satisfied with the performance of the people in finance that the government intend to waive taxes owed to the government by taxpayers. That would include penalty, interest, etc. All that is taxes. The government additional $2,000 as soon as they reach. And I'm not saying they're wrong. You know. This is not about wrong or right. I'm saying the government did that. I am now understanding, waiting to be confirmed, that the Prime Minister don't even live in Mount Royal where other Prime Ministers live. So that means government have to pay housing for him. The Prime Minister flying over the world as if he's a air hostess. And why I'm saying that? Because the previous government curtailed traveling when it is necessary to save costs. Because they're mindful we have high unemployment and we have to share the kitty with everybody. One group can get and the other don't get. This government is going after the marginalized. That's all we're saying. Why is it necessary? Every time you ask this question, you have individuals dodging and hiding. You know, the NDC warriors, you have to defend. The Prime Minister of Grenada seems to prevent, well, he cannot prevent, but maybe he strongly advises his ministers, don't speak to the press. Because they're hiding, and some of the pressmen that is very close to the Prime Minister, they're searching down the Prime Minister, everybody else will speak to, the members of the opposition, but they cannot find the NDC ministers. And that is why we have to appeal to the politicians, the media in the Caribbean, in Tobago, Dominica, to ask the Grenada Prime Minister, why is he going after the people in the lower income group in Grenada? You know, to give some explanation and some justification. And when these things are taking place, you have to remember, you have a responsibility and a duty to your own children. And you have to make certain that your children do well in school. And even, I know some parents find it difficult to help their children because they believe they don't have the education or they don't understand the work the children doing in school. So some people don't even want to touch a children's book, particularly fathers who perhaps leave school early and not very knowledgeable about that. But I believe you don't have to know the work the children doing in school to help them. And this is what I believe people must sit down and discuss. And I charge the women, you must be the one to facilitate. You must find out what are the talents your man have. Your spouse, your child father, the man you have as a tourist relationship. Find out what are the talents that they have and involve them in helping your children. Simple. If your spouse is a bus driver, a bus conductor, an electrician, a farmer, a job, a hunter, a fisherman, a mechanic, they have excessive talents that they can help your children. And let me tell you how. If you have a 5-year-old in your house and his father is a mechanic, a bus conductor, a bus driver, they can help him a lot in language. Just by knowing the names of the village and the parish. Remember your child, and if husband, the electrician, would know almost all the villages in in the parish. So you can get them to help you to know the names. They may not be able to spell it. A lot of man can spell it from shop. A lot of man can spell. Some of them from the time they leave school, they don't touch a book again. So even if there was half bright in school, can write the names of the village on a piece of cardboard. I think they call it flash cards. You could cut out the cardboard neat and cardboard cheap. And by playing with it regularly, the father will get so interested in it that he and the 5-year-old could play. You can do the same thing with type of vehicles, because a bus driver, a mechanic, they're going to know different type of vehicles. Whether it's Suzuki, a Toyota, what is next? Mitsubishi. And these are unique words. And if your child could pronounce these words, and they will have an idea how it is spelled, because they've seen it on the flashcards every day, and your man go get so interested, he's going to feel he has some value besides giving you money and visiting you periodically. So that's an easy way to get your spouse to be involved in your 5-year-old education. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it doesn't matter. Earlier your status better. If you man is a jab, encourage him to teach your child to blow the shell. And because he's a jab, he going to know the names of the villages. Let him write down that too. If he's a fisherman, encourage him to teach your child the names of fish in the sea. Imagine a 5-year-old know the names of 20 fish. Fishermen have beautiful stories. If you could get your child to end up interacting and communicating, but if father like the child to write it out. They know a lot about direction and ocean and clouds. They know about the moon. So you, the mother, you have to facilitate that process. Every time you see a man, you're quarreling. Encourage him. That's all your child needs, confidence. Imagine you have a 5-year-old child that could buy a shell and know the names of the majority of villages in the parish. You could teach them the names of flowers. Now, that man you have, he come like a resource. He going to be so happy to know that his child knows this thing. That's all you need to do. Once you encourage your child to develop the confidence in themselves, they're going to do better in school. Send your child to church. It's not a question of heaven or hell. Send your child to church. Whether it's Catholic, Anglican, Adventist, the child going to learn something, go learn compassion and forgiveness. Yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome. We look at we lose this caller. Caller, you got to try again. You know, Onisto preoccupied with Peter David and Kit you're just like a messenger of doom and gloom. The opposition in 2008 gave the NDC about 1 year, they didn't say anything. And that is the correct thing. When a government loses election, the opposition is supposed to keep themselves quiet for a while. And if NDC was fine, you would be hearing the opposition mouth. The NDC practically hand over a lifeline for anybody. From the time the NDC come in power on this demise, practically hand over a lifeline for the NNP to grow. Forget about split and fraction. In politics, you have all these things, but it is more manufactured. Ignore that. In this thing, answer the question that I answer the question that I ask you. On many occasions, when you write, I go back and respond to you, and I read the things you write in the program. You know? But this country belongs to us. If you have a political party, and every time they come in power, they're going after the marginalized, one's supposed to be concerned. And who is the marginalized in Grenada? Anybody who is not paying personal income tax because they don't have the income, they're marginalized. We have some people that are working for status jobs they have. They're pretending they're making money. We have a lot of people that are making under $3,000 a month. Some of them working in the big firms in St. George's. And they feel proud to work in those big firms. But they're not better off than some Imani. Because if you have to leave people and go and work in St. George's and paying $400 to $500 and you're doing that from Monday, and you're working for $2,600, better you're making $1,500 and paying $60 for transport and leaving you home 10 minutes to work. You would have much more time for yourself because time is money. So we have a lot of people in Grenada that have status jobs. We have people that are working in the bank, particularly those ones that just come and they're not making $2,000 a month. In the bank. So we have a lot of Grenadians that giving the impression that they're working for plenty of money. So say they have status jobs. Some people that work in agriculture for $50 a day, better off than some people that are working in St. George's for $2,000. Because you could work with two farmers in the same day. It's about 3 hours work you get from agriculture. 2.5, 3, 4 hours if you're there. Most likely about 3 hours. Most of the jobs in agriculture, piecework. You go to work and you go. You have time to rear animals and make kitchen garden for yourself. Somebody are working with Hubbards or Steel or Huggins in town, they don't have the time. They leave home 6 o'clock in the morning and coming back home 7 in the night. They don't have the time. You working in agriculture perhaps for $50 a day and you have 3-4 hours work and you don't pay transportation to go to work and you don't even have to spend money on clothes. You have more time. And if you know what to do with your time, time is money. So we have to reassess these things personally because you have a government that is bent on political mischief and borders on the realm of evil based upon their attitude. And I don't see that changing in the next future. We have to be careful that we condemn this behavior at all costs. It is an unacceptable behavior. You cannot have in this day and age a government incorporating political mischief as part of the policies. What the government doing is wrong. The government is displacing workers, and I know a lot of workers, and the Minister of Labor say they didn't fire anybody, and the union, she said, the union never complained. Well, I don't blame her. Most of the workers that lose their job, while they're in the union bargaining unit, they are not union members. And time has come for them to ask the union back for the money or amend the laws of the country so they don't have to pay union dues. Unions are not seeking their interests, not representing them, not negotiating on their behalf. But always remember, between the age of 0 and 12 years, you're in a position to change your child's confidence, and you should. We're back with you tomorrow between 12 and 1 for another opportunity on Target. Thank you.